Welcome back to the Morning Cafe. We are live at Makueni County for the 7th and final devolution conference, and to talk about some of the issues that are going to be discussed in this particular conference and what the delegates are hoping to achieve, I'm joined by the County Assemblies Forum chairperson, that is Ndegwa Wahome. Karibu sana to our set, sir.
Thank you very much, Eric, and I'm happy to be in Makueni. I'm already feeling at home. And I would wish to ask all the assemblies across the country that this is our occasion.
Yeah.
This is where we come to demonstrate to the people of Kenya what we have been doing for the last 1 year or 2 years, because we are not able to hold the devolution conference last year. And therefore, we have just preceded you to Makueni, but we are hoping that you are going to come here in your numbers so that we can exchange experiences, so that we can build on what we have already achieved and find mechanisms on the ways of securing devolution for the prosperity of counties and this nation.
Well, speaking of devolution, and I was having a chat earlier on a few moments ago with my colleague Modoni Maina back in studio, and she asked a very vital question. Is this now a wake-up call for Kenyans to now see that, you know, mitigating the effects of climate change should be put at the center stage of our conversation as a country?
I think that is should form the core agenda for this meet. And I think climate change, if we ignore it, actually we are ignoring our tomorrow as a people. And climate change is real. You can see what is happening in this country today.
Yes.
Monies that should be going to development are actually being used to sustain lives in this country. And therefore, climate change, I believe that there will be a very serious resolution on how much funds shall be allocated in our budgets across the counties to deal with the issue of climate change. Otherwise, if we don't deal with this issue, then everything else shall be rendered useless. Therefore, I expect that the speakers during this meeting shall be addressing the agenda of climate change, and that they will be borrowing from already the experiences we are having in this country, and that we shall come out of here with very clear guidelines on how to attend to this issue of climate change, and agree on how we shall allocate funds and how those funds will be extended to ensure that we mitigate on this issue.
Well, I believe when you speak on behalf of all the county assemblies. What are you doing, or rather so far, what have you done so far to mitigate the effects of climate change in your capacity as a
like now, I think by yesterday, about 47 county assemblies had already adopted the registration and also guidelines on how to intervene in areas of climate change. That includes what actually through also the SDGs, and through engagement with local communities, through budget process, and through wholesome approach to the human life, because this is about human life, how we should be attending to these issues. And I think it is a wake-up call, as you put it, that as the smallest unit of governance, the ward, and where our members, the MCAs, represent or operate from, I think that no agenda in the villages, in towns and everywhere across this country, that we should be addressing other issues without touching on the issue of climate change. This is where, when we allocate this money, that we should promote even youth groups to be able to manage tree nurseries. We should be able to secure water sources by planting indigenous trees. We should ensure that deforestation is not happening, because the problem is that the poor are the people suffering most, when the rich are the people who are causing deforestation in this country. Like a case study is Nyandarua. All the people who are cutting away trees from Aberdare forest, from all the forests in Nyandarua, it is not the people of Nyandarua. There are people licensed from Nairobi by the chief conservator and his team. They just come, cut away our trees without any benefit to the people of Nyandarua. But the people of Nyandarua are supposed to continue reforestation to continue taking care of the forests that are there, taking care of the rivers, but there must now be a very clear and deliberate effort to ensure that the people, they own the forests, they own the water sources, so that they are able to protect them, and also that there is a benefit that is accruing to the people. Like now the people of Nyandarua, although they are the people who will suffer most, they are not very interested to see what is happening at the Abadeas, because it is people, strangers from Nairobi, who come to benefit from our forests and render us very vulnerable as a people, which is unfair. And this is an issue we should address from the highest office, so that conservation, the chief conservator of forests must be accountable and answerable to the county governments, that is the executive and the assemblies.
Well, you talk very passionately about involving the county assemblies in the war, or rather in the efforts of mitigating the effects of climate change. Financing climate action has always been the biggest dispute between the county governments and the national government. Where's the problem?
I think it has been a problem in this country. When you look at the monies that you are giving at the national government, they are a huge fraction of the budget that is supposed to action mitigation on climate change. And unfortunately again, because of this pull and push, you'll find that UNEP has been having allocations that come to this country on climate change mitigation. But because of the pull and push between the national government and county governments, the last time I heard was that about almost 1.4 billion was lying somewhere, because it could not be released, because there were no clear guidelines on how to address this issue. So the issue of accountability in this country, that people get resources without accompanying accountability, then that is why you find these wars on resources. Otherwise, if these monies are coming to deliver on the issues at hand, I believe that these fights, the pull and push, would not be there, and that actually we should be actioning climate change mitigation measures without much hurabaro. But as our country, and we have to agree that this country is being lost to corruption. That is why we are not able to move on. Because even now, even at the county level, if you allocate these monies for climate change, I know we have been doing that in Nyandarua. We allocate money to promote youth groups that are running tree nurseries. We give women groups that are running tree nurseries. But at the end of the day, what is there to be shown for the millions that have gone to that agenda? Accountability, accountability, accountability is what will be able to address climate change in this country.
Well, the national government seems to have an ambitious plan of increasing the forest cover in the country up to 10% from the current 7.2%, and that they think is something that is achievable in the near foreseeable future. Do you think it's being overambitious, or it's practical?
It can be done, because when they are doing those projections, they are allocating money to follow that function or projection. But then, who knows about that? Those things are being talked in Nairobi. Those issues should be talked in the villages. The people to understand the dangers that are lacking everywhere because of lack of structured climate action. And therefore, what I would expect, and public participation is a very critical component in our constitution, in our laws. But again, who is working with the government to achieve this agenda? It is being talked in hotels. It is talked, people are moving from here to Scotland to go and talk about it, but they're not talking about it. I saw the people going to the conference in Scotland. I have seen people going to the UN there. I see Kenyans lying on the road in New York talking about climate change. But do you hear it here? Those are people who are just going there to attract the attention of non-governmental organizations for their own agenda, for their own benefit. Why are they not sleeping on roads in Kenya? Why are they not sleeping in villages in Kenya? To alert our people that clearly there is a very serious danger about not taking action on climate change.
But that probably is their part of lobbying for funds.
Then I think most of these things should be done just like politics, that it is Rocco. Most of these things, even when you are going to lobby for the funds, what is the infrastructure that you put in place where you are just coming to inject those funds? Clearly, you will be told that these funds will be collected on very good blueprints, on very good white papers, on a very good framework, because Kenyans, we are known across the world of doing very good paperwork, but implementation is zero. So those people lying and wherever, New York and Scotland, Glasgow and everywhere, when it comes now back to Kenya, you will not hear of them again. So even if they lobbied and got the funds, where do they go to? Let us go to the villages, let us go to our schools, and let our children know that climate action is actually their future, that they are securing their future. And we start all the way from primary schools. Let us, and with the CBC it will be very easy. Let us go to our secondary schools, let us go to our universities, and we know that this is a monster that is facing us. It is a menace that we have to address, and therefore we incorporate everyone so that we are able to move forward as a country. Otherwise, these other shenanigans will not help this country, and we are going to all perish when we wash, as I remember the ones of Professor Wangari Maathai.
Asante sana. Speaking to the chair of the County Assemblies Forum, we're talking about what is going to take center stage at the 7th Devolution Conference right here in Makueni County. Time now for a very short break. We'll be back with more, including a bit of politics. Don't go away.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone?
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them.
To make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists, door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
We're rising up together.
Say your point. You need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Anaongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man knows how to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist as themselves.
Tune in every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Hello guys, and welcome to Night In with Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu.
Heartbreak, pain, and tears have been a major part of Night In Season 1. We thank you for being with us on this journey, and for this upcoming season, we will bring you more empowering stories that not everyone is talking about.
This is the only show where we keep it authentic. We share our lifetime experiences, and you know what? Tell every person that you can turn your pain into power.
Join Joy Irungu on Night In as we take the brave step of sharing.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher.
Nyuma ya wheelbarrow kuna economic model.
And trickier with each passing day.
Niliwaambia washushe chini bei ya mafuta.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
How has Raila and the handshake made Jubilee lose focus?
You've seen Raila Odinga flying military choppers.
Our people have never been called to Uhuru Park to unite. They have always united out of their own volition.
Reduce your madness.
Kenyans are suffering.
That'd be fair to conclude.
I don't want your station to be sued. That Jubilee government has never been able to sponsor any successful project.
Every Monday at 9:30 p.m., Pundits Night brings you inclusive and candid conversations with the pundits. We say disability is not inability.
Our impairment are not disability.
Disability is the barriers put across by the society.
Beyond the Limit gives a voice to those abled differently.
People with special needs can undertake a job, particularly that is customer service focused, as good, if not better, than people that are 100% abled.
We bring you conversations of these great persons, round table conversations, and many more. Every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
Tasty. 100 yani chumvi imeonja kabisa, like you do not need to add anything.
So the first thing you need is a bit.
Back to the morning cafe. We're here with the chair of the speaker of the County Assembly Forums, that is Ndegwa Wahome. We're talking about everything that will take center stage right here at the Devolution Conference, the 7th Annual Devolution Conference, and also a bit of politics. But I just want us to pick it up from where we had left it. We've seen a lot of politicking around matters, conservation. Deputy President William Ruto just recently revisited the Mau forest evictions and pledged to keep out illegal settlers. He's accused politicians of using that as a campaign tool. What are your views on that?
Actually, the Deputy President yesterday surprised me. The main settlement into Mau forest is his stronghold. His constituents, his primary constituency.
Yeah.
Are the main inhabitants, or were the main inhabitants to Mau forest. And I think with the kind of statements that he made in Narok, then I think in matters of conservation, I think the Deputy President means business. And I am thinking that it is time that all the other politicians, especially from the Rift Valley, take cue from that and ensure that all of them, for our very survival as human beings, because Mau is not only about Rift Valley, it's not only about Nairobi, it's not only about Mount Kenya, that Mau is about this country and its very survival. So therefore I would urge everyone to take such bold step, forgetting about the local politics, forgetting about where you find your support, but actually the best support you can get is through conservation of Mau and other water towers in this country.
Okay, and do you think the national government, the county chiefs, that is the governors, have been accusing the national government of what they call cherry-picking laws that would assist in the mitigation of harmful effects brought about by climate change? Your views?
I think I really don't understand. I have not seen a clear strategy document by the governors on how they would want to address this issue. At least from my own county assembly, I have not seen any policy on addressing climate change that has come to the county assembly of Nyandarua. Although the county assembly of Nyandarua, as you know, has been crossed by the governor for the last 6 months, so maybe he is taking those documents elsewhere, not to the county assembly. Otherwise, I am not sure which governor, and maybe you shall understand when we are starting this conference tomorrow, whether there are those strategy documents, policy documents, guidelines that are being enacted at the respective counties to ensure that they address the issue of climate change and what action is being taken to address this one. Because at the end of the day, it is very easy to accuse. But on your part, that small part that you are supposed to pay, with the billions that are coming to the counties, there must have been something measurable that at this conference, the governors should come out and tell us, we found these issues here, we have taken them to the other level. The main problem with this country, you will find people talking, but there are no some measurable statistics or statistics that give measurable outputs. and also inputs that come into addressing a certain issue as big as climate change. Therefore, let us stop whining and address this. These are not issues of throwing issues around. This is issues of taking responsibility and defining what you stand for and what you are doing in your small space. Otherwise, if everybody and the state officers, the public officers, they take up their space in the matters of addressing climate change and what action is being taken, then we shall all take up the whole space that is Kenya, and we are going to be able to address this issue adequately. Yes.
Now, let's talk about laws that govern, or rather laws that can help us with this issue. There has been the Climate Change Act of 2016, which proposed a creation of a fund that was called a Climate Change Fund. What do you think is the reason why such laws have not been, enacted? Is it goodwill from the political leaders, or
no,
it cuts across from the national government all the way to the county governments?
Actually, Eric, we are legislated in this country. Actually, we are even legislating of our morals. We are legislating on common sense issues. These are very clear issues that within the legal regime around us, in the international conventions, the bilateral agreements, that we should be able to address these issues. But in Kenya, we are just legislating after legislation. But when you look at legislation and you go to its implementation, you find that after it was read the third time and the eyes have it, then it dies there. And the other is just mere rhetoric, mere hot air, that has no content, that has no measurable outputs, and then we continue whining. And we are dying slowly. We are killing this country slowly. This country, we are merely trustees, and we have a responsibility to secure this country for the future generations. Unless we are too selfish, that we cannot be able to see this.
Well, let's now talk about, Africa as a whole. The COP26 conference came to an end. We were hoping for some positive news, but it seemed like the priorities of the developed countries were taken care of, and then we were left playing catch up. Do you think as we head to COP27 now, we should create a movement and go and bargain for a positive change as one bloc?
Again, Eric, we go back to corruption. In Europe and America, they want to continue with their oil explorations. They want to continue with this massive industrialization without critically addressing climate impact, negative, adverse climate impact on whatever they are doing. But again, even now, there are, because of corrupt regimes in Africa, even their nuclear waste materials, they are coming to deposit them in Africa with the knowledge of leadership in this continent. Everything that is disturbing the stability climate-wise of Europe and the Americas, it is all being transferred into Africa because of our corrupt ways and because of lack of responsibility and accountability. And that is why the Europes and Americas, even when the conference of the parties was refusing to do very common sense issues to ensure that the climate change is actioned appropriately, is because they know that Africa, they are using it as their dumping site, and therefore the main impact comes to Africa. That time that we start taking responsibility as a continent, the leadership takes responsibility, that is the time that even Europe will find that they have no exit route out of this quagmire. And that time we shall be able to sit down and agree on the way forward to action on this very serious issue that is climate change.
Well, I was talking to one scientist, and he said one of the reasons why we didn't achieve much at the COP26 is because, the stakeholders, the main stakeholders, the environmentalists and all the scientists were not given, an opportunity to air their views. Do you think this particular conference, this 7th Devolution Conference, is going to be different from that, in your own opinion?
I think the main problem with this world, and unfortunately it is where we all live in, and we take responsibility over it, all of us, even those who are not responsible. It's like the conference of parties. When you looked at it, you found that there was already a mindset by Europe and America. And whatever we did, however loud we screamed, they had already decided on the resolutions. And they just wanted the numbers to go and rubber stamp that. So I'm hoping that in this conference, that those people who mean business in the area of climate change action, that they will be given the forum, that the blueprints that are done by these experts, and the people who have studied this menace of climate change, that whatever they have come up with, we are going to sit and look at it and agree. Eric, the problem with this country and Africa as a whole is implementation. Not big thing, and implementation is about funds. Funds will always follow these functions, but these funds will go to people's pockets. It is not that we don't know how to implement, but we implement these things in our pockets instead of allowing funds to flow towards implementation of those blueprints and other legislations and other guidelines on attending to issues that concern the human race. So at the end of the day, I'm hoping that here we have nothing to lose, and I would encourage everybody, the national executive, the county executive, the legislators at the national level and the counties, that we all come here with an open mind. It is about ourselves and future generations, so that we discuss this issue with an open mind and we come out with the real solutions to these problems. Let us not deal with the hypothetical situations. The situations are everywhere. You get out of your doorstep, all those issues are there. So let us have very simple, clear action plans on how to address these issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a politician, and naturally, we'll delve into matters politics and what is current right now. But I want to ask you one last question on this issue of climate change. You're talking about hypothetical solutions. Do you think this conference will come up with practical solutions?
I'm hoping so. And I think that governors, I'm just going to be very curious, Eric, and I'm going to be watching very closely at governors, especially from Northeastern, to see what will be their input in the presentation, either during the main meeting or at the panels, what they say about climate change, because the impact is very serious in those areas, in Turkana, generally large swaths of land in the North Rift, the coast region, the Ukabani where we are in. I will be watching very closely, because actually some of these chief executives you see in the counties, the issue of climate change and climate action and even the climate laws is completely foreign.
Yeah.
They are just looking at the small monies that are coming to those counties, and they are not even addressing these issues. Because at this time that we cannot talk about even 3 or 4 counties in the north combining resources for the last 9 years to come up with the mega dams that cut across those counties. That there is no serious and deliberate effort towards making the northeastern place green, then we must be having a problem. And we are going to be watching very closely to see what proposals, and I will be very keen, what proposals are the North Rift counties, the northeastern counties, the coastal counties, the lower eastern counties, what kind of proposals are they coming with that will be incorporated in the presentation by the Council of Governors on climate change action plan. Maybe for the first one, in the short time, we cannot wait for 5 years. We need to address it from the day one. We want to know from here what are our next steps going into the next 20, into the next 30 years. And when we say we want to increase the forest cover from 7.2 to 10, where are we going to do it? Have we mapped this country to know where we exactly want to do this? Have we mapped this country and allocated funds that this area that has been mapped out and codenamed this is going to get these funds, and this is the master plan, this is the infrastructure, this is the regime of action plan that will address that issue.
But the CS for Environment, Keriako Tobiko, said that they are already doing that. They are plans to do that.
Let us see him coming and presenting it here. Talking is very easy. But seeing the real results is the main problem. I'm telling you, just walk to any, even here, Watertown, and ask them about climate change and tell them what is happening about ensuring that we are taking some responsibility towards addressing that issue. It is foreign. We go to places here, we are telling them about which party and which party we are going, who is building which coalition. Are we going to build these coalitions when we are dead? We should be telling the people that first we secure our future. But how many politicians are addressing this? How many experts are being given forums to be able to do this? Which county government has allocated funds for those conservationists who are known and are very clear in the agenda to come to their counties and help in sensitization and help in educating the people about the dangers of today and the dangers of tomorrow? How many? You'll find that it is merely horror, that this is merely a platform to attract funds, but there are no plans on how even those funds will be applied, as I have told you before.
This platform? You think this platform might be used to
most of the platforms. Let us hope that something will come out from here. Okay. Can you remember what happened in the last devolution conference? A lot of talk. We have become a talk shops. We talk too much when we come together. The main issue is building comradeship and bonding. But then what comes out of this? We need as a country to be serious. That is why we are in the third world and after 60 years. And we don't know when we are taking off. Because people don't take their responsibilities seriously. It is a wake-up call for state officers and public officers. When you occupy that space, there must be some transformative agenda that you carry with you, so that you can change the lives of the people around you, and all of us effectively occupying our respective spaces. Then we are able to move forward in this country.
Okay, so you're talking about bonding, and I want us to talk about something, a bit of politics, but it's connected to what we are talking about. Yesterday, there seems to be some ministers who did not want to bond with the DP. As the Deputy President, William Ruto. And it was at the very important Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Committee Council, that is the IBEC. Some ministers were invited by virtue of the positions that they hold, very, very serious dockets, but they never showed up or even sent their representatives. Do you think that bad blood at the national level, the perceived bad blood, is also to blame for what we are probably coming to solve here in Makueni?
What I would want to say is that those are a completely backward politics. Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council is a very serious organ. Obviously, I was represented by the Speaker for Embu and the Speaker for for West Pokot, because this is a matter we take very seriously. It will inform what will happen to this country in terms of fund allocation for the next 1 year. And it is time that we stop seeing the future of this country through the optics of politics. And I would see that those are politics that are overtaken by time. And actually, the people of this country should look at such cabinet ministers, and they should be censored appropriately. Let me tell you, I really appreciate some serious governors whom you have seen them that even they appreciate and they understand their gross domestic product, like the governor for Laikipia. And you saw him there. What did he come out with from there? Is that he was allowed, he was consented to proceed and secure a board of 7 billion to help his people of Laikipia. Then other governors, they are keeping off because they are thinking the DP is this, the DP is this. They were not going to Karen to collect DP's money. They were going to Karen to occupy their space in terms of funds allocation. But, and I am sorry, I will use this on TV. These stupid politics
no, you can't do that.
that are actually taking our people, Eric, backwards. It is not fair. It is not right. You should, the larger interest of the people should occupy the center stage. It should be the fulcrum that informs all our decisions, all our movements, not parochial partisan politics that are not helpful to our people. Let us keep our eyes on the ball, and our eyes on the ball is transforming the lives of our people. And whatever the Deputy President was doing is discharging a national responsibility, a statutory responsibility. What justification do you have to keep off if you are supposed to be there? Therefore, this country, I think we are facing so many Herculean tasks, onerous responsibilities, and I think these parochial sectoral issues that have no positive impact on our people should be forgotten, and that we move this country forward, just like now that we are moving to a transition, so that even we give hope to our people, that the leadership they have will ensure there is a smooth transition, and that this Kenya, the future of ourselves and our people, is assured.
And as things stand right now, do you think that is going to be possible, a smooth transition?
The Kenyan people will force it to happen. And I know Kenyan people are decided. We are there with the people on the ground. And politicians can talk, they can speak as loudly as they can, but Kenyans are decided. Kenyans will come, and they are listening, if you look at it, except for one or two incidents. Kenyans are listening to all the politicians. And when they are left behind, you are finding them conversing very deeply and very heavily about the future of this country. I know that, and I'm sure there will be peace in this country post-2022. I'm sure that this will not be politics of euphoria. This will be politics of personalities and the ideals that these personalities hold, the integrity of these persons, the agenda of the people that is being held by these people. This will define the future of this country. And we have gone to that, and the politicians are listening to the people. Never be cheated, Eric, that we are not listening as politicians. That is why all of them now, you have never heard of any model, economic model. In 2017 it was not there. In 2013 it was not there. Now they know. People are not interested with the euphoria about parties, euphoria about politicians. They want euphoria about what you are going to do to the people. That is why you hear about bottom-up. That is why you hear about Uchumi Mbora. That is why you hear about welfare state. That is where you hear about 24-hour economy, because our people now are looking at issues that are beneficial to their lives.
And that is very important, as you say. But now, how do we move that now from you know, once we get Wanjiku from the financial quagmire that she finds herself in, how do you now move the conversation to now this very, very important conversation about climate change? Politicians have managed now to move from, you know, personality politics, as you say, from tribal politics, and now we are discussing about economic models. When or how are we going now to achieve that, to bring Wanjiku to think about the harmful effects of climate change?
Unfortunately, and I think, Eric, that is a very loaded question, because despite all these economic models, I cannot pretend here to be an authority on those models, or whether I've seen the blueprints, but in public pronouncements, none of the main presidential contenders has addressed the issue of climate change. I've listened and I follow the former Prime Minister, I follow the Deputy President, I follow Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo Musyoka, because I think those are the main serious guys you look at when you are looking at 2022. Yeah. But none of them has seriously addressed the issue of climate change. None of them has addressed the issue of how much money they would allocate in terms of actioning mitigation on climate change. They are talking about injecting money to ensure a 24-hour economy, injecting money to ensure bottom-up, injecting money to ensure welfare state, injecting money to ensure Uchumi Bora. But actually, none of them is attending to the very, very serious issue of climate change. And I think that is, and that's why I'm saying it's a very serious question. It's a wake-up call also to Mwananchi, that when these people come, let us just sprang a surprise to them and let them tell us doing about actioning mitigations on climate change.
So as the opinion shapers, how do you think this can happen? Well, yes, Wananchi can organize themselves and say, yeah, we're pulling a surprise on these guys, but how can now, you know, the politicians as opinion shapers now come and tell people, you know what, if you do this, we are going to be dead. As you're saying, we cannot form these coalitions when our people have been ravaged by drought, you know, all animals are dead, there's no water. How do we now move that conversation, in your opinion?
I think first, because there are two categories of actioning this on this issue. One, I talked about the budget.
Okay.
The first thing is a clear legal regime which is already there on how to attend to the mitigations on climate change. That one, I don't think we need any more legislation around that area. It is overly legislated on. We have literature on it all over, and therefore blueprints. What now requires is to look at them and be able to allocate funds so that we are able to implement in our budgets. Okay. As politicians, then as Wanjiko, let us in the budget making process, because now the issue of public participation is a very crucial issue. Yeah. Let us as Wananchi, the opinion readers in the villages, the chiefs, the assistant chiefs, the teachers who are there in the village schools, and they are very serious opinion readers, and the civic organizations, and even those civically oriented citizens. Let us look at our budgets from our regions, budgets that cover our wards, our constituencies, our sub-counties, our counties. Let us see what is there to mitigate on climate change. Because this is for of us, but it starts with the registration which is done. It goes to budget making, where we should come in, and for Mwananchi in public participation to ensure that it is happening. Okay. After that, implementation, let us see monies allocated for climate change in the wards, that it is actually happening, and the MCA and the MP and the senator, that they are playing their role to know that the infrastructure of mitigating on the climate change and the funds allocated to this, that they are being used prudently, and that there is accountability and openness, so that we can be able to achieve the objectives of this fight for climate mitigation on climate change.
Thank you very much. Ndegwa Wahome, the chair of the County Assemblies Forum, talking to us about a very important topic, a topic that is going to take center stage in the 7th Devolution Conference right here in Makueni, that is climate change and the mitigation of harmful effects of climate change. Time now to take a very short break, but when we come back, I want us to talk about politics. He's a politician. I'm sure we're going to talk about politics in the next hour. Let's talk about, you know, political realignments as we move to 2022. Keep it here.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone?
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them.
To make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
We're rising up together.
Say your point.
Now, you need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Ameongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man knows how to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist as themselves.
Tune in every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Hello guys and welcome to Night In with Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu.
Heartbreak, pain, and tears have been a major part of Night In Season 1. We thank you for being with us on this journey. And for this upcoming season, we will bring you more empowering stories that not everyone is talking about.
This is the only show where we keep it authentic. We share our lifetime experiences, and you know what? Tell every person that you can turn your pain into power.
Join Joy Irungu on Night In as we take the brave step of sharing.
County is for Ndegwa Wahome. Time now for a bit of politics. Ndegwa, there's a plan by Ruto and Raila to block defectors. They don't want people who might miss, a slot at the nomination stage, going away as independent candidates and probably, shake the ground and probably render them quite ineffective, if I might use the term ineffective. What is your thought on that?
I think, Eric, when man learned how to shoot without missing, the birds also learned how to fly without perching. When it will become very clear that the nominations will be done by the UDA and ODM and maybe Jubilee after the deadline for crossing over to be an independent candidate, then I can assure you that most of those candidates and most of these politicians know their way around. And they appreciate that we don't have the requisite infrastructure within the parties to be able to conduct a free, transparent, and accountable nominations. Most of the serious contenders will just move out to small parties as early as now, or they will move to become independent candidates as early as now. Because I can assure you that in this country today, we are not ready. No party is prepared, and no party will be able to do free, fair, accountable nominations. So therefore, it is a wake-up call for politicians, and I know they are listening very closely, and they will make very serious movements. You will see a lot of movements. Where, like now I know in Nyandaro, almost every gubernatorial candidate has their own small parties or independent already, without even this pronouncement. And this is the direction. And I'm telling you why the politicians are making this movement is because Mwananchi now is not looking at the party. Is looking at the individual, the strength and the character of this individual, and the history, the record, and what this person is capable of doing for them. And therefore they will follow that individual, independent of where you are standing in relation to a party or an independent candidate. So therefore I think they will get a jolt, and I can tell you they will not cross this window. If they cross this window, they will be crossing themselves inside without anybody and leaving everybody else outside.
So at the ward level, and this is where I know that's your domain, as the chair of the County Assemblies Forum, independent leaders at the ward level are number 3 after ODM and Jubilee. If they are a force to reckon with, and I'm talking about independent candidates, why then the need for these parties? Why is all this obsession? Where is this obsession with the parties coming from?
There is warmth in being in a party, even in terms of even funding. Most of the even donors, even those support groups, they want an organized group to be able to channel their funding. Even those non-government organizations and people of goodwill, they would want to channel their funds into an entity that is structured in some way that they can be able to speak to than when it is dealing with an individual. So mostly you'll find that is why many people would want to be in a defined group that has structures and that has certainty, and there is warmth in being in a political party. But if you put this kind of rules, and then we know that you cannot be able to conduct a free and fair and accountable nomination, definitely nobody will be there, and the politicians will try their luck elsewhere. And especially if you know that you have your chances, your chances and your future will not be curtailed by funny and stringent rules by political parties that have not laid down serious infrastructure to ensure free and fair nominations.
Well, this group of independent politicians being a force to reckon with, do you think they have the power to probably change the 2022 arithmetic and probably force a runoff between the two top contenders?
No, it is not possible. I know that the politicians will be elected on being independent candidates. But if you look like the number of independents as governors, out of 47 is only 2. And then out of the MPs, I don't think they exceed 14.
Yeah.
And like in my assembly, there are 25 elected MCs, only 3 are independent. So when you look at the senators, it's only 1. So when you look at the statistics and the data that we have, yes, there might be a slight increase in those who will be elected on independent ticket, but I don't think that they will influence the presidential election to an extent that they can force a runoff, because actually there will not even be a strong independent candidate for the presidency. And I know that from the MCA to the governor, those who will be independent, they will be aligned to one of the main coalitions in terms of the presidential election. You find a person is independent here, but he is all over the county pronouncing that he is supporting Baba for presidency, the deputy president for presidency, Kalonzo Musyoka or Musalia Mudavadi. Therefore, their chance of influencing the outcome of the first presidential run and maybe a rerun is almost 0 when it comes from independent. The only people who can force a runoff, in my observation, is if Kalonzo Musyoka and Musalia Mudavadi agree on a joint ticket. It is probable they would cause a runoff in this country.
Why is that?
The constituency they occupy, Mudavadi, I believe, holding a ticket, especially for the presidency, he will be able to galvanize Western. And Kalonzo also is not a person you can wish away. In Raw Eastern and past of Coast, and in that region, and even Nairobi, both of them, Kalonzo and Musalia Mudavadi. And if they get the small support from Wetangula and Gideon Moi, I am not sure he will be with them for a long time to come, then definitely they can be able to cause a runoff. Even if they get 10% of the vote, it is likely they can be able to deny any of the 2 main horses the chance to win on the first round or in the first round.
We are talking about also political realignments as we head to 2022. When you say that KANU leader Gideon Moi is unlikely to be with the One Kenya Alliance leaders, what do you mean? Where do you see him going?
You know, Gideon has been sending mixed signals. And Gideon, from his talk, you can tell clearly that he is aligned to the ODM presidential candidate, although he has not made the pronouncement. But when he says he is going to give the youth and those unemployed 6,000 shillings, how can he give when he is not the president? So clearly he has already pronounced that he is a presidential candidate. The things he is saying that he is going to do to stem out corruption in this country, that is his pet topic. He cannot be able to do that unless he is the president. So it is only by law, that is what we call by fact, is that he is a presidential candidate. It is only by law that he has not returned his papers to be a formal presidential contender. And therefore, from the body language, because when politicians speak, we don't normally listen to what they are saying. We listen to what they are not saying. And from what Gideon is not saying, and from his body language, is that he is headed towards that direction.
Okay. Now let's talk about what is on the papers. Page 3 of the Daily Nation has a very interesting story here. It was quite unfortunate that a university student was killed, but now Sharon's death has nothing to do with my political ambition. That is the mom talking. She says that she wants to be an MCA, and she is aligned. No, sorry. I take that back. She wants to be, or hopes to contest, the Homa Bay woman representative seat on a United Democratic Alliance party ticket next year. That's the point I want us to talk about, because she was involved in the DP's tour of Migori. Do you think the Deputy President has made significant inroads in that particular part of the country where the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is known to have consolidated his support base?
I think, Eric, that the Deputy President can go to Nyanza and do a peaceful campaigns where there are crowds coming to listen to what he has to say. I think it is a very huge step forward, not only for the Deputy President, for this country. I have been here for a long time. I have voted since 1992, but I have never seen Kibaki campaigning in Nyanza. I have not seen Moi campaigning in Nyanza after 1992. I have not seen Uhuru and Ruto campaigning in Nyanza, except Kisii and Nyamira.
They have.
I have not seen them in Kisumu campaigning when they were in TNA and URP and when they were in Jubilee. They kept up. The farthest they went was in Nyamira, Kisii, and the Kuria section of Migori. And they left it at that. That now the Deputy President can go to the interior, or to what is referred to as the Ruo Nyanza, and sleep over there. In the morning, wake up and continue with his campaigns, and he is well received, and that largely all those campaigns are peaceful. That already is a very huge step in the space of democracy in this country. And obviously, when you are talking to these people, it is not like when you are not talking to them. Definitely, there are one or two people, or a few thousands, or a small percentage that can define those tours when the votes are casted and counted. And therefore, that's why I'm telling you, I'm sitting pretty, and I really appreciate it. Baba was in Mount Kenya region. He was in Nyandarua. And when Baba came, we listened to him peacefully and actually welcomed him to Nyandarua. And what was surprising, if Eric, you watched, we did not allow our governor to speak to us because we think he is an oppressor and he is our own governor. But Baba was welcomed and interacted with the people of Nyandarua. That is why I told you this is not politics of parties now. It is politics of politicians and what you have done for this country. Whether the people vote for you or not, they will judge you by your record. Those who are not doing good for this country, you might come from Homa Bay and not speak to the people of Homa Bay, depending on your track record on service delivery and public service to the people of Homa Bay. You might be the leader of Nyandarua, but come 2022, the people of Nyandarua will not give you a chance to listen, to talk to them, because for 5 years you have not been able to deliver to them, and you have not in any way positively impacted on their lives. So we are looking at very interesting times. Actually, I'm playing that these days continue moving towards 2022, and they will continue, because like the clock, they will not stop at anything. And we are going, Eric, to watch and experience very interesting times. 2022 will be an election like none other in the history of this country.
Now, talking about Melida Auma, that is Sharon's mother, using the UDA to, the UDA party to vie for the Homa Bay woman representative seat, the Deputy President has been urging smaller parties to wrap up and join, bigger parties. And I believe when he says that, it's his rallying call for, all these people to come on board and join UDA. Do you think that should actually happen?
Now, to start with Merida, the mother to Sharon, what I found very interesting, is that this UDA in Migori is actually fronted by Governor Obado. And you know the relationship with Merida.
Yeah, the matter is still in court.
The matter is in court. He is being accused. He is innocent until otherwise proven guilty. But that now they are sharing the same ideals under the same umbrella of a party known as UDA. That is another interesting issue that I'm telling you we are there to watch. Very interesting developments. And I believe the choice of her party to contest for the women rep is maybe because of the influence. I don't know whether it is directly the influence of the DP or the influence of the governor for Migori. We can never tell. But these things are going to unfold. We are going to see the whole story. Because in politics, there is not much you can be able to hide for a long time. But on the political parties, me, I have been a victim of a political party. This behemoth of a political party that is all controlling, that is across us, that is working all over everybody, and wherever it works, it puts shadows to everything that and cannot grow. Jubilee, when, and you know about the attempted impeachments of myself, at one time, even one morning, when the motion to impeach me is being processed in the House, Jubilee is writing 8 letters to expel the MCAs, some of the MCAs that support me, from the party. And actually something that can never happen, Eric. And they continue to deny these MCAs to even vote. All those MCAs in Nairobi. Having been thrown out, you are elected by the people. Party, which is using its constitution under the Political Parties Act, which are a subsidiary legislation to the constitution. They have their way with you. And you are elected. Leave alone that you are joining a party, you are going for nominations. You are already elected by the people. So you stop having primary allegiance to the party, but to the constitution of this country, on which you are sworn. You are not sworn by your political party constitution, but you are thrown out by a party. So I know those who are complaining about merging all the parties under these giant parties. Me, actually, I would tell people to be very cautious and to look at the constitution. It says that Kenya will be a multi-party state. It is good to have serious 2 political parties like in America or in Britain or in Canada or Australia, but where democracy is matured and where justice is done within the party structures. We have not yet reached there. And don't want to be a statistic in what these kind of parties can do to you. It is better to be cautious and to take care and secure your future.
You've talked about having parties that are formed on ideals. Do you think at one point Kenya will ever get there? We stop building parties as SPVs, special purpose vehicles, to move us from one point to, the other. Do you see that ever happening?
I think it will happen. Tanzania is behind us in many things, but CCM is very clear. All the members of CCM, they know where CCM is coming from, and they know where it is going. Okay. And nobody has any doubt what is in the manifesto of CCM. And the party leader in the counties, even where the president is, that party leader is given a chance to talk about the party in that region and what the party is doing according to the manifesto. If you go and listen to TV Tanzania or TV Zanzibar, you are impressed that the party takes center stage in propagating the ideals of the party. You go to Botswana, there are 2 parties, and all of them, they are sorry for that. One is leftist, the other is lightist, and those parties, those people who join them, they are very clear in their mind where they belong. And the party structures are also very clear that when you are in your party, you will get that justice before you even venture out to meet your opponent in the other party. South Africa, we know what ANC stands for. We know what EFF stands for. You know where the Democratic Party, what it stands for. And therefore in Kada, it is a traditionalist, and they don't want to see the new light that is shining to all over the world. So anyway, in Africa we have parties that uphold ideals, and they are driven by ideals. Ghana, the same case. So in Kenya, and that is the direction you are taking. That is why the presidential candidates are talking about issues now. It has never been an issue. Even the manifestos, they just wave the manifestos, but they have never told us what is in those manifestos. But now they are telling us very clearly, in a very simple language that we can understand. So we are going there.
Okay. So as we go there, as you're saying, I want us to shift our focus on page 5 of the Daily Nation. I will revive BBI if I win, Raila says. You are the chair of the County Assemblies Forum, and his first pledge is one of the proposals he will implement is allocation of at least 35% of national revenues to counties. Do you think these are things that could have been done, without passing the BBI? Is it something that the national government can actually implement, or there's lack of goodwill from the national government?
Actually, I am on record for the county assemblies of this country supporting the endorsement of BBI. And mainly because of the good things that were there for the county assemblies of this country. And I thought that the county assemblies were the biggest winners in the BBI document. Because that 5% is good for us, but that is something that can be done even today. Actually, it should have been done yesterday. But then, how do you do it when there is no accountability in the counties? And I would shudder to hear that 5, with the kind of infrastructure we have in Nyandarua County, I would shudder to hear that 25 billion or 20 billion is coming to Nyandarua. Where, Eric, and I'm talking about reality because I've said it on this TV severally, where a governor can cross an assembly so that he is not accountable because you have raised issues about corruption in that. And when I talk about corruption, it's because I've petitioned even the Senate about the corruption in Nyandarua. I've petitioned the EACC, I've petitioned the DCI, but 6 months the Assembly of Nyandarua is crossed. Actually, the Constitution, in relation to Nyandarua, the Constitution of this country has been suspended in Nyandarua. It's not operational. The rule of law in Nyandarua is not operational. Then you give 20 billion to that county. What are you talking about? You are going to create teen millionaires in the villages, and you are going to create a billionaire there to continue oppressing and harassing the people of this country. Therefore, for me, is that we can be able to implement that 5% now, actually yesterday, but then without clear accountability infrastructure in the counties, without empowering the DCI office, the investigative and forensic departments, the EACC, and even donate to them the power of prosecution.
But they've been empowered. You've seen their budgets.
No, those budgets, they are very small, and you have seen their proposals and what they get. Then you can tell they are not adequately facilitated. They are getting half of what they have proposed to Parliament. And therefore, I'm saying that especially the forensic area of investigations, we have to capitalize on that. Because when it is forensic, definitely no culprit will get free. Today, the only forensic can only be conducted at the request of Parliament. And I'm trying to assert that Parliament includes the assemblies so that we can also request for forensic. Nobody is responding to that. But then that would be the way to go. Otherwise, in short, is that the 30% can be implemented as early as yesterday. The other issue, we had been given in the Constitution the creation of County Assembly Fund. Under Article 207 of the Constitution, it says that all the funds at the county government will go to the county revenue fund, except where reasonably excluded by an act of Parliament. And I've been telling Senate, you can create independence of assemblies without BBI by amending the Public Finance Management Act. Article 109, it creates the county revenue fund. You create Article 109A to create the county assembly fund. and then amend all the other sections that have reference to the county revenue fund, so that it has reference to the county revenue fund and the county assembly fund. And then you secure the independence of assemblies, so that a governor, unlike an emperor, cannot cross an assembly, and that there will be accountability, and that MCAs are not kneeling before the governor or the CCM finance to be able to get their money. So bring 20 billion in Nyandarua, and the MCAs are waiting for the governor to pay their salaries. If the CCM does not allow the allocations for salaries, they can wait like in Nyandarua the way we had waited for 4 months to get our salaries. Because the CCM thinks that Ndegwa Wahome should not be the speaker, and therefore they cannot release the requisitions for the county. I had to go to court for them to be ordered to do that. Okay. So therefore these things can be implemented, but where are you implementing to take this money to? Okay. Will this money reach the people? That is the big issue, and we have to seriously think Kenyans. We cannot convert Kenyans to observers. We have to ensure Kenyans have a role in governance of this country.
Sasa Chair, I have now to cut you short there and talk to my colleague Liz Mutuko, who's my colleague, and she is here with us in Makueni County. Liz, sijui kama unanipata, watu wa Makueni wanasemaje ulipo?
Well, a very good morning here from Makueni County, County 017, which is hosting the devolution conference, that is the 7th devolution conference. Yesterday we had a spot check of various actions and various matters, whatever is happening in this county. But before then, today there is just small things or small events which are happening today, with only tug of war and devolution, not devolution but round table with the governors. But yesterday, as we were going round in this city of not really city but Makueni County, we understood that the business is doing so well, with even houses where we were supposed to sleep, the rentals and the hotels are booming. But I would like to hear from border people what they are expecting today and how their businesses are doing. I had talked to a few of them, and I will be speaking to them right now to understand what they are expecting out of this devolution conference. Habari yako?
Nzuri sana.
Biashara iko namna gani na unatarajia nini katika hii devolution conference ambayo imeandaliwa katika kaunti ya Makueni?
Sintakimbia. Saa hii biashara bado haijaanza mzuri, lakini naona tukiendelea na hiyo mikakati biashara itakuwa sawa.
Unasema biashara haijakuwa vizuri, na maanisha bado hamjapata wateja?
Bado hatujapata wateja.
Na baadhi ya maandalizi ambayo tumeona yakifanywa ni kama yepi kuhakikisha kwamba nyinyi mnafaidika kutokana na hii conference?
Tunafaidika kutoka kwa hao magavana. Ndio.
Na nimeona baadhi ya hoteli ambazo nimeona huko, nimeona zimejaa. Inamaanisha kwamba watu wamefurika na hawawasaidii nyinyi kama wafanyi biashara wa bodaboda?
Ndio. Hawatusaidii.
Tunatarajia kwamba kesho na kesho kutwa mambo yatakuwa vizuri. Unaitwa nani na unatarajia nini katika hii devolution conference?
Mimi naitwa Steven.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone?
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them
to make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
We're rising up together.
Say your point.
You need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Anaongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man knows how to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist as themselves.
Tune in every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Hello guys, and welcome to Night In with Joy Irungu.
Heartbreak, pain, and tears have been a major part of Night In Season 1. We thank you for being with us on this journey, and for this upcoming season, we will bring you more empowering stories that not everyone is talking about.
This is the only show where we keep it authentic. We share our lifetime experiences, and you know what? Tell every person that you can turn your pain into power.
Join Joy Irungu on Night In as we take the brave step of sharing.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher.
Nyuma ya wheelbarrow kuna economic model.
And trickier with each passing day.
Niliwaambia washushe chini bei ya mafuta.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
How has Raila and the handshake made Jubilee lose focus?
You've seen Raila Odinga flying military choppers.
Our people have never been called to Uhuru Park to unite. They have always united out of their own volition.
Welcome back to the Morning Cafe. At TV47KE is our Twitter handle. The hashtag, as always, is Morning Cafe TV47. My Twitter handle is at Eric_Mnene. Let's interact. We are live in Makueni. I'll be joined in later by my colleague Liz Mutuko, who will be talking to the business community and the expectations right here in Makueni. But before we do that, I'm engaging the chair of the County Assemblies Forum, Ndegwa Wahome. We're talking about dissecting matters, politics, and we were talking about, empowering the counties. They're saying that there are no real structures at the county level. Do you think there's some goodwill from county chiefs, governors, and everyone who is in that ecosystem at the county level to bring good structures to ensure that there are no funds that are lost due to wastage or deliberate corruption?
I think there are very few governors, because I know and I speak to the speakers and I speak to the MCs. There are very few governors who have that calling to go and passionately and without reservation serve their people. I know, like under Article 176 of the Constitution, that we were supposed to decentralize devolution to the lowest unit so that devolution would be all-embracing. And there was provision that we would be able to create governance units at the village level, so that we have even a village administrator. But you will find that even public participation itself is a very mechanical exercise. It is not meant to achieve anything. It is just meant to satisfy the law. And that is why most of the governors have not even created those units. You will find people like Governor Oparanya, and I give him the thumbs up for that. In Kakamega, I think it was the first county back, because I was elected in March 2013 as the speaker. In Kakamega, it was the first one to create village units. In Nyandarua, the assembly did register on it. It has never been implemented. Even management of the ward administrators and the sub-county administrators is completely without any direction, despite it being provided in the county government registration. Therefore, if you want it to work, you have to have a professional, lean, and focused public service. In most counties, you will not find that. And therefore, you find that it is all about, everything revolves about the governor. The governors are behaving like Father Christmas, that they are the only people who can make things happen in counties. They are the ones who are launching cartons of drugs when they get to hospital, that they are the people who are providing cure for the masses. They will go there to issue checks, even for nursery school kids. They will be everywhere, that they are the owners of the resources at the county. You can never deliver optimally without delegation and without structures of delegation. And therefore, that is what I'm saying, that even when we talk about that 5%, we must know where are we taking this, that 5%. Is there the requisite professional, lean, and focused bureaucracy to be able to handle that, which I doubt. And even when we are taking that 5%, let us ask ourselves, where is the own source revenue going to? Are we collecting this own source revenue, or it is going to individual pockets? That is why you find people who are supposed to be in the public service or in parallel informal arrangement with the governors, where you find the government is here, but there is a parallel kind of establishment which is not known to the law, but it is benefiting individuals who are merely campaigners for the governors to enrich themselves. I give you an example because Nyandarua is where I come from and where I've been the speaker for the last 10 years.
Okay.
Is that, Eric, we have never collected a coin for liquor licensing. The bars have increased from 600 to 2,500, but we have never collected a coin. It is projected we should be collecting 120 million. From the hospital, these monies paid at the hospitals, the main hospitals in Nyandarua is JM and engineer hospitals. Those own source revenues are not even projected in the budgets. And we have complained about this to the authorities that be. Actually, when Edward Ouko was the controller of budget, I told him that, Auditor General, yes. How is it that we are not, you are saying that Nyandarua had a clean audit report, when actually there is this aspect of investors conference that never happened. There is this aspect of where we had a white paper to bring money to polytechnics from the national government, 46 million. It is nowhere. It was never taken to the polytechnics. There is money allocated to the university, that $1 million. Nobody knows where it went to. There is this collection of money for the bars, collection of money from the hospitals. It is not there. And you give unqualified audit report. And they told me they don't audit money. They look at you whether the accounting, international accounting standards have been followed, whether you steal everything and they leave the inhabitants of a county empty-handed, then you are following the international auditing standards, not standards that take stock of the money allocated and the output made to the people, which must be measurable. So we have to come out of that. And we have, as a country, that is why I'm telling you, Eric, we need to look at simple solutions to our issues. These technical issues about accounting standards international, who cares? We want water for our mothers and our children and our future. We need forest cover. We don't want these big names that don't add any value to our lives. And that is why the fourth government came, so that the leaders and the governors are near the people. Okay. They can listen to the voice of the people. They can smell like the people that they lead, so that we are able to move this country together. Otherwise, it's different what is happening in the counties.
Speaking of voice of the people, let's now get the voice of the people from my colleague Liz Mutuku, who is now interacting with the business community right here in Makueni live. Liz, what are the people of Makueni saying? What are the expectations of from this devolution conference that is taking place right here?
That is County, Makueni County, where devolution conference, the 7th devolution conference is being held. We've been able to spot check what is happening and maybe on matters business, and we are being joined live by one of the residents and who is also a business person in this place, and who has told me that they are not doing so badly and still they are not doing so well in matters business, considering that the governors and the guests who are streaming in this county, they are coming maybe with their own vehicles, and the border business is not booming in any way, but the residentials and hotel industry is doing so well. But what are they expecting? And also matters climate change. What are they expecting to be done out of this conference? Are there going to be any changes? Are there going to be tailor-made solutions out of this conference? Some of the things which I'm going to hear from the people on the ground. Chalo, you've told me that you've been here for a while. What is happening and what is so different from what you're going to get out of this conference? Unatarajia nini?
Mimi chenye natarajia kwenye hii conference ni economic empowerment of this place to change, as in there are so many visitors in the area. We are also expecting differences, as in there are some people who has been hindered to do their businesses because of these newcomers who are coming now. For example, those people who used to fetch water with their donkeys have been cut off their businesses, so as for the visitors not to see how Makueni people are used to get the little water they used to consume.
Kwa hivyo kulingana na wewe, ile mikakati ambayo huwa imewekwa ya kufanya biashara imeondolewa ni kwa kuwa kuna wageni ambao wanakuja. Na je, nyinyi kama wafanyabiashara wadogo mnafaidika kwa lolote lile?
Hapana, wafanyikazi wadogo hakuna kitu wanafaidika nao. As in, sasa hata tukiongea na watu wenye wanauzanga mayai, mtu anauzanga smoky, wameambiwa wasionekane kwa town, ambapo hiyo ni kama wamepiga kweli watu wa chini kibiashara.
Lakini tumeona hoteli katika eneo hili zikiwa zimejaa. Ina maana kwamba hawa wageni wamekuja vile vile hawafaidi hizi biashara, ama nyinyi wafanyabiashara wadogo?
Wafanyabiashara wale wakubwa, kama mtu mwenye akona guest house ama hotels zenye kubwa au anafaidika kweli, but for wale wako chini hakuna faida wanapata kwenye hii conference.
Ninaelewa wakati kama huu mvua katika kaunti ya Makueni na kaunti zingine huwa imenyesha, na katika hili kongamano baadhi ya masuala ambayo yanaangaziwa ni masuala ya mabadiliko ya tabia nchi, ukipenda kwa lugha ya Kimombo ni climate change. Ni kipi ambacho kinaweza kufanywa kuhakikisha kuwa at least watu wa Makueni wamefaidika wakati ambapo mabadiliko ya tabia nchi yanashuhudiwa?
Ile kitu tunaomba kama watu wa Makueni na climate change ni kufunga we need a lot of water masses in this area, so as for the place to have a microclimate, and within that we'll expect vegetation cover to be so more, as in saa tukiangalia hata kwa mashamba, all these vegetables we have like lemons, all these zimekauka juu hakuna maji hata ya kunyunyuzia hizo mimea. So we need a lot of water masses in this area for us to enable watering of the vegetables we have in a place.
In your own opinion, has devolution worked for Makueni County?
What?
Devolution, have you seen any changes which have been brought by devolution?
In Makueni County, we have seen some changes with the devolution. One, in Makueni County, I thank the governor for restoring sand in this place. As in, kama kungekuwa sand imeharvestiwa sana kwenye hii county, saa watu wangekuwa wanakufa tu na maji. At least hapo tumepata a positive change.
Thank you so much, Charlo. You are so much informed on what is happening here in this county. These are some of the business people we have been able to talk to, but not only this place. In our subsequent bulletins, we will be able to update you what is happening, considering this is just day one of this conference. We are here to ensure that everything is brought to you live from this county. Back to you in the studio.
For that update right there, my colleague Elizabeth Mutuku there interacting with the business people of Makueni County. We are here with her, although she's somewhere different than from rather where I am seated. But just having this conversation with the chair of the County Assemblies Forum, Ndegwa Wahome. We were talking about the voice of Mwananchi, but I want us to shift our focus now to the Jubilee Party politics. Page 4 of the Standard has an interesting story there about the Jubilee ouster plan now falling as their NDC has been postponed. Apparently the party had planned for an NDC, but then again it clashed with President Uhuru Kenyatta's diary. Apparently on that same day that the NDC was to be held is also the same day that the president will be giving his State of the Nation address.
I think if you look at it closely, Eric, is that the State of the Nation address by the president on 30th of this month was a request by the head of the civil service, Mr. Joseph Kenyu. And therefore, definitely that was with the directions and the knowledge of the president. And obviously, you don't assume that the president did not remember that he was supposed to be having an NDC on that day. So he was very much alive to that fact. What I think is that the president wants to define his future in the State of the Nation address. I don't think that he will be addressing any other State of the Nation address. And also I believe he will be laying down the infrastructure for transition from his rule to the next governance of this country.
That could be his second last though.
Yeah, but now we are in November. If we go by that, then he might not do another one, because it is done annually, and by November he should have left office, because it will be within the same year. I don't think he can do that within the same year. So I think what the president will do during the State of the Nation address is to define his legacy, to define the future of Kenya without him, and to define the future of the Jubilee Party as the ruling party, because you cannot divorce it from the State of the Nation address. And therefore, when this country or Jubilee will be going for the NDC, they will have listened and internalized what the president would have said in the State of the Nation address, so that they don't get adventurous or just or move away from the script. I think the president is just defining the agenda of the NDC in the State of the Nation address.
Well, there's something that you're avoiding to say here. There's something interesting that you've said, that the president knew, of course, his diary will clash with the NDC, but he kept it, the cards. He kept the cards under the table only to surprise them and tell them, you know what, I'm not aware of your plans. There has been talk that this event was to be used to finally put the final nail on the coffin of Ruto's membership as a Jubilee member. But then again, you say the president has, somehow shown that he's not supporting this. Do you think the talk that this was to be used to remove Ruto from Jubilee was probably a talk that was started by a section of Jubilee party leaders who do not consult with the president? Do you think the president is not supportive of what is happening to his deputy, and all these has been planned by people who are very influential but not in consultation with him?
I think, Eric, is that the president, and I remember the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, Lavaro Tuju, pronouncing that the NDC will be held on a day that the president will be not very busy, will be free from his busy schedule. That was his statement.
Yeah.
And the people who are flanking him was the leader of the majority party in the parliament, and also in the National Assembly, and the leadership of Jubilee. And therefore, they never gave a date, because they said they had to ensure that it was fixed on a day that was convenient to the president. So we are assuming that actually that day was the day that was convenient and free for the president. And there are two scenarios. One is the one I've given, that maybe the president wants to prepare Jubilee on the direction he wants this country to take by his State of the Nation address. Number two, he might have decided to scatter the NDC through the State of the Nation address. Instead of postponing it, he puts in the State of the Nation address so that the NDC will not be there, because of two reasons. One, that the agenda with these very young, vibrant and robust members of the Jubilee who are raring to go and to take over the leadership, he might have thought that this is not the time maybe to go and antagonize them, and again that if they had their way, it was not to the best interest of the party, and therefore the best thing was to ensure that diplomatically it does not happen. The other issue is that maybe the president also is a politician. He feared that even removing the DP, then the fight for the space left by the DP might also create a lot of issues within the Jubilee Party. So there are many scenarios, at least three, that would have made the president not be very comfortable to have the NDC done at this time.
And right now, when we were on a very short break, you showed me an opinion cartoon there that is quite interesting, but that is back on the Daily Nation. As we wrap this up, because I understand that we are running out of time, we see on page 16 of the Daily Nation, we go back to the paper, we can see there are people who seem like masseurs. These are supposed to be opinion pollsters, massaging. This seems to be the Deputy President and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga over there. So, do you think the polls, yeah, it's funny, do you think the opinion polls, the Deputy President's team has, or rather camp, has really bashed the opinion pollsters? Do you think what they do is this, massage egos? Because I think this is what the message the paper is trying to pass.
I'm thinking, Eric, that from this cartoon, it is showing that the real contenders for the presidency, and it is they are being prepared for the very hard times ahead. And now the masseurs, they are ensuring that they are preparing their horses for the hard tackles that are expected going forward. And I think that is the message that is being, and actually when you don't see Mudavadi and Musalia here, this cartoonist is what is communicating that for them, they might change the demography or topography of the politics by what they might be able to manage as outsiders, but the real battle, the real thing is between these two guys, but that it will not be easy for any of them.
But you see, they're calling these opinion pollsters. The DP has vehemently denied that, he's polling currently at 38% of the total support of all Kenyan voters. That is what Trends in Africa, TIFA, had said about the DP. The DP's camp has said that no, that opinion poll was sponsored by the deep state and it does not reflect the true picture on the ground. What is your opinion about these opinion polls? And I'm sure as we go ahead, a lot of them are going to be commissioned to at least get the picture of what to expect, or rather get a rough picture of what to expect in 2022 come August. What's your view about them?
I think opinion polls in Africa, you take them seriously at your own peril.
Why?
Obviously, we don't have those serious people of goodwill that will just fund an opinion poll so that the country can listen to its heartbeat. Most of those who sponsor these poll opinions, they are interested parties. And therefore, even when they are done in Nyandarua, I know clearly that we who pays the piper calls the tune. And therefore, you can only use them for propaganda for me in Africa. But actually, when you and Eric, you have had a history since 2002 when they started being done here in this country. They have never given us the actual results from the opinion polls. That is not what we have seen when the votes are finally cast and counted. Therefore, they might be a general reflection, but all the time, I believe there is somebody behind pulling the strings and controlling the whole agenda. And the pollsters are just pronouncing things that they are supposed to pronounce. It is not coming from any scientific formation or scientific formula to reach into those numbers. So anyway, take them, but take them with a pinch of salt. And opinion polls have never spoken to the realities of the outcome of elections in Africa, either at the local levels or at the national level.
So thank you very much, Bwana Chair. But your final remarks as we wrap this up in 2 minutes or less.
So, Eric, I would say that I'm very happy to be here for the 7th Devolution Conference, but I'm also very sad for devolution.
Okay.
And as of today, I would, at this point, because I've spoken about the country, I would wish to talk to the people of Nyandarua and tell them to have hope. Your bunge was closed down. You might not be getting what you are entitled to, but we hope that there are going to be the serious interventions that require to be taken. We have communicated to the presidency of this country. We have communicated to the Senate, where we expect a petition will be heard from next week. We have done everything that should be done so that the people of Nyandarua get justice, that the constitutional order in Nyandarua is restored. As of now, Eric, and it is very sad to pronounce this, is that the official vehicle of the crack as of now has been taken over by the police. It's being driven by police in Nyandarua.
Why is
the
that?
official vehicle of the speaker is running errands for the family of the governor.
What?
And we are supposed to be here talking about the successes of devolution, when in Nyandarua we are going back to the dark ages, to the Stone Age. It is not acceptable, and we cannot celebrate the devolution here with what is happening to Nyandarua. And we are calling upon the presidency and all the agencies of government concerned to intervene in Nyandarua, because corruption is overwhelming the people of Nyandarua.
Okay. Thank you very much. The chair of the County Assembly's Forum, Ndegwa Wahome, there talking to us about what will take center stage right here at the 7th and final devolution conference in Makueni County, as well as a bit of politics. Now, time for us to take a very short break. We'll be right back. Don't go back. Don't go away.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone.
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them.
To make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
We're rising up together. Say your point. You need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Anaongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man knows how to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist as themselves.
Tune in every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Hello guys, and welcome to Night In with Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu.
Heartbreak, pain, and tears have been a major part of Night In Season 1. We thank you for being with us on this journey, and for this upcoming season, we will bring you more empowering stories that not everyone is talking about.
This is the only show where we keep it authentic. We share our lifetime experiences, and you know what? Tell every person that you can turn your pain into power.
Join Joy Irungu on Night In as we take the brave step of sharing.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher.
Nyuma ya wheelbarrow kuna economic model.
And trickier with each passing day.
Niliwaambia washushe chini bei ya mafuta.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
How has Raila and the handshake made Jubilee lose focus?
You've seen Raila Odinga flying military choppers.
Our people have never been called to Uhuru Park to unite. They have always united out of their own volition.
That's last. Reduce your madness.
Kenyans are suffering.
That'd be fair to conclude.
I don't want your station to be sued. That Jubilee government has never been able to sponsor any successful project.
Every Monday at 9:30 p.m., Pundits Night brings you inclusive and candid conversations with the pundits. We say disability is not inability.
Our impairment are not disability. Disability is the barriers put across by the society.
Beyond the Limit gives a voice to those abled differently.
People with special needs can undertake a job, particularly that is customer service focused, as good, if not better, than people that are 100% abled.
We bring you conversations of these great persons, round table conversations, and many more. Every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
Tasty. 100 yani chumvi imeonja kabisa, like you do not need to add anything.
So the first thing you need as a beekeeper is a beehive.
Yes. Even though I know I won't read it as hard because when I'm engaging the time.
You can handle it.